Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Reid Duffy Chronicles. And our stories tonight include a look back at the sweet experiences of two Hoosier-blessed athletes of the hoops persuasion with very special memories of that period set aside for March Madness. Both men won it all 10 years apart and personally saw to it they would, while jeopardizing the nervous systems of their fans in the process. First up, a true Indiana basketball legend who put the hurry in the Hurricane Hoosiers.
We pressed 40 minutes a game, forced the other team into a lot of turnovers. We had great rebounding. I mean, we were a running ball club, and you had to be in great condition to play down there.
For Bobby Leonard, it was a simple recipe for a very potent stew that was the 1953 edition of the Hurricane Hoosiers of Indiana University coach Branch McCracken, head chef.
He always said, which is good in the game today, get down there firstest with the mostest.
The bearishly charismatic McCracken, an IU All-American in football and basketball, won the NCAA championship in 1940 over Kansas in the tournament's second year, instilling the same character-building work ethic and uncompromising discipline with this team.
This guy was like your father, but don't cross him. It's like today, they think Bobby Knight's tough. They should have seen McCracken.
McCracken sure liked what he saw with his 1952-53 squad, mostly juniors and sophomores, led by a spirited 6'3" converted guard out of the Terre Haute Gerstmeyer program of the legendary Howard Sharp, one William Robert Leonard, in charge of putting IU's fast break and overdrive and long-range bombing, teamed with reliable ball handler Burke Scott at the other guard. Hard-nosed Charlie Kroc, later to become an Army general, was the team's leading rebounder at one forward. Two key elements of this dream team are no longer with us. Forward Dick Farley from tiny Winslow, Indiana, the team's quiet leader.
Dick was a great all-around player, great defensive player.
And sophomore Don Schlund out of South Bend, answering McCracken's longtime prayer for a big man at a very mobile 6'9".
He was a great shooter. He was a scorer.
One who averaged 25 points a game, becoming the Big Ten's MVP. Indiana's season got off to a rocky start as they lost two of their first three on road game buzzer beaters to Notre Dame and Kansas State. After that, it was no more Mr. Nice Guy as the Hurricane Hoosiers galloped through the Big Ten schedule with 17 straight victories, tripped up only by Minnesota on another buzzer beater.
We lost 3 ball games by a total of 4 or 5 points in 7 seconds.
IU barely escaped the first round of the NCAA tournament, surviving a frantic comeback by Ray Meyer's pesky DePaul team in the gracious confines of Chicago Stadium.
We're right here from Indiana, and Notre Dame's in that regional, and DePaul is Chicago, and everybody's for Notre Dame and DePaul. All those Catholics up there.
All those Catholics were not pleased when IU disposed of Notre Dame in the second round on Schlund's 41 points, then gliding by LSU in the semifinals on Slick's hot shooting to set up a championship game rematch with Fog Allen's defending champion Kansas, led by center B.H. Borns, who was on a tear during this tournament. The game was an intense, heated, extremely close affair throughout, with Schlund and Borns dueling in the lane, Schlund emerging with 30 points, Borns with 26.
I can't remember if there was ever more than 2 points that whole ball game. I mean, it was nerve-wracking, and it went down to the wire.
Amidst the intensity, the Hoosiers picked up 3 technicals, one by Slick, believe it or not, and a most crucial tee by Kroc at the end of the game as he fouled out on a dubious charging call. It helped Kansas tie up the game at 68 with a minute left. With 27 seconds left, Kansas fouled Leonard, putting IU's coolest, most confident foul shooter at the line, as Coach McCracken pointed out to the news media.
They said, Branch said you had ice water in your veins. And I said, if it was ice water, it sure felt awful warm when it was running down my leg. And that's about the way I felt about it. You know, I was scared to death.
And as the first free throw clanked off the front of the rim, Slick entertained other life-defining thoughts as he prepared for the second.
People never forget those things. Had I missed both of those free throws and we lose that ball game, the national championship, woo, I'd lived with that all my life.
So Slick coolly drained the second free throw to give the Hoosiers a 1-point lead, and now left with these instructions by Coach McCracken. Don't let him score, don't give him a good shot, no yes, don't foul him in the remaining 27 seconds, which is basketball's equivalent of an eternity. Slick and the gang followed his instructions to the letter.
We had been schooled in that man-to-man, full-court man-to-man defense for 4 years that I was at Indiana, and we knew how to play it, and we went out and played it.
IU's superglue defense permitted Kansas one desperation heave at the buzzer, with the Hurricane Hoosiers emerging as kings 69-68, taking the trophy back to Bloomington by way of Indianapolis to a Hoosier citizenry who naturally took it in stride.
By the time we got to the other side of Martinsville, that 18-mile stretch from Martinsville to Bloomington, the highway was lined 2 or 3 deep with cars all the way into Bloomington. And in Bloomington, it was just mass hysteria.
The only disappointment about the 1953 championship for Bob Leonard is that they didn't do it again in '54 when they had everybody back for another great season and a Big Ten championship. But alas, they were cut down in the opening round by my sainted alma mater, Notre Dame, back in the days when the road to the Final Four went through South Bend. Next up, the March Madness tale of a born-again Hoosier on behalf of Chicago by way of New York.